Here is a close-up of the Reading Ripple Afghan, and as you can see, the foundation row starts with half a wave pattern, and then you do 2 rows of single crochet, and then you do 2 rows of a wave that starts out tall on this side and then goes to a narrow height here, and then back up. So it raises, it starts out high and then goes low here and then back high. And these rows are duplicate rows. You're doing like trebles over trebles here. And then you do 2 rows of singles again, and then you'll notice this row starts out short and then it goes up and back short. So it alternates. That's how the waves are created, by alternating whether you start out with tall stitches at the beginning or short ones on the alternate rows. So I'm going to show you how to do a gauge swatch of this Afghan. So for my sample, I chained 34, and the multiples in this are 16, and then you and chain 2 for the turning chain. But to start on the short side of the Afghan, the directions say to chain 178. So I'm just doing a little sample here to show you how it's done. So I've got my 34 chains here, and then I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from hook, and then I'm going to single crochet in the next chain, and then I'm going to chain 1 and skip 1 chain right there, work a half double crochet into the next chain, then I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to skip this chain, I'm going to work a double crochet into the next chain, chain 1, skip 1 chain, and now I'm going to treble into the next chain. This is great practice on your stitches. So there's the, see how it starts out short and then it raises up here. So I'm going to chain 1 and do another treble. Like that. Now we need to go back down. So you chain 1, skip 1, double in the next one, chain 1, half double, skip 1, chain, half double in the next one, chain 1, single crochet, skip 1 and single crochet in the next one, and then you chain 1, and then you, let me make sure there's 2 singles in here. I think there is on the low side. I just don't want to make any mistakes here. I don't want to show you guys the wrong thing. I think that you do if I can get my thing back here, you do 1 more single crochet there. You're going to skip this one, go into the next one, chain 1. Now I've done 1 wave, and I'm going to go back up to create the second wave across this row. So this is a half double crochet, chain 1, skip 1. Now I'm going to do a double, chain 1, skip 1, treble in the next one, chain 1, skip 1, treble the next one. So at the lowest point you're doing 2 singles, and at the highest point you're doing 2 trebles. Chain 1, sometimes they're called triple crochets. I'm going to skip that one, double in the next one, chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet in the next one, chain 1. Now I have 3 chains left, and that's what I'm supposed to have. I'm going to skip 1. At the end you're going to continue across like this in your pattern, but at the very end you're going to land up with 3 extra chains. You're going to skip 1, you're going to single in the last 2. Okay, so I did that right. And this row, of course, will be very wide for your Afghan. So I'm going to finish off at the end of each row, except for these 2 rows I'm not going to finish off because they're going to be the same color. So to finish off, I'm just going to chain 1, pull the back strand to tighten it. I've got a big pair of scissors here, and I cut back here. And then later I will sew those ends in. Okay, so I'm done with that color. Now, because I am joining a new color, and it's symmetrical, this pattern, you can join on either side of the row, like you could join on the right side or the wrong side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join on the right side of the pattern right here, and what you do now is just work 2 rows of single crochet. So just right here I'm going to join with a single. So to do that, I'm going to insert my hook here, and then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to insert my hook here, yarn over, bring that through, and yarn over and bring that through 2 loops on the hook. And then for these, the next 2 rows, all I do is single crochet into the chain 1 space and the stitches. So I need to find those 2 loops on the top of the stitches and go under that, and then all the way around the chain 1 space, like right down into the space. So just continue working in the chain 1 spaces and the and the stitches like I'm showing you here, and then I'll come back. Well, then after this row you chain 1 turn and you single crochet across again, and then you finish that one off. And then I'll come back on camera and show you how to do the row that starts with the tall stitches at the side. I finished my 2 rows of single crochet, and before I finish off the white, I thought I'd show you another way to join a new color. This is the last single crochet of row 3, and before I complete the last single crochet, I leave the last 2 loops on the hook, and I have a slip knot of the blue color that I want to add, and I put that on my hook and pull the new color through to complete the last single crochet. Now I can just go in and snip the color that I want to finish off, and later on I can weave that end in. So now to carry on to row 4, I will just take the new color and chain 4 and turn. And that's going to count as a triple or treble crochet. And then you work a triple, I call them treble crochet. You work a treble right here in the next, you don't work into this one because the chain 4 counts as the first stitch. So then you work a treble into the next stitch. Once you get the hang of this, it's actually very easy. And then you chain 1, and then you work a double, and then you chain 1, you skip 1, and then you work a half double. There's skips between all the stitches except for the ones on each end. There's 2 together on the ends. So I'm chain 1, and then I'm going to skip 1 and put a single. Chain 1 and do a single again. Chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1, and double, chain 1, skip 1, treble in the next one, chain 1, skip 1, treble in the next one. And one way to check and see if you're doing this correctly is your singles of this row should be right over your trebles of row 1. And all the stitches should be the opposite. So now I'm going to chain 1. And now I've done 2 trebles at the top of the ripple. Now I'm going to go down, start going down in the stitches. So I'm going to skip 1, do a double, chain 1, skip 1, do a half double, chain 1, skip 1, single, chain 1, skip 1, single again, chain 1, skip 1, half double, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1. You see I've got 3 at the end. You always want to see that 3 at the end there. Okay, I'm going to skip 1 and do 2 trebles at the very end. No skipping, no chaining on those last 2. Awesome, it worked out good. Okay, so that's what row 4 looks like. Now I'm going to chain 4 and turn, and that's going to count as a treble again, and then you treble in the first treble. And I'll show you what I'm doing here. And right here you can see there's a treble on a treble. So it stays high for 2 rows. Then you do the 2 rows of single and it stays low for 2 rows. So now chain 1 and double over the double, or into the double. Chain 1, half double into the half double. Chain 1, single crochet into the single, chain 1, single in the single, chain 1. Now we're going back up, half double in the half double, chain 1, double and double, chain 1, treble in the treble, chain 1, treble in the treble, chain 1, double in the double, half in the half, chain 1, single in the single, chain 1, single in the single, chain 1, half in the half, chain 1, double, chain 1. Okay, now I'm down to this side and I'm just going to do 2 trebles on the opposite side. Okay. And that completes row 5. Now, I want to explain something to you. If you want to do just these 3 colors, and if you want these single crochet rows to be the same color, you could just change to this color and leave it attached, and you could carry it up along the side and change back to white. Because you're always going to land up, the way this pattern works, if you work 2 rows of the white, you're always going to land up on this side anyway. The only thing is whether you want to carry it that far up to, it'll be carried that far. So on the alternate rows it won't be carried as far, but right here it'll be carried that far. But if you did want to carry the yarn, you wouldn't have cut it off like I just did at the end of that row. You would have worked this last treble until you had 2 loops on your hook, and you would have picked up the dropped color. You would have just dropped this, not cut it off. And you would have yarned over with the drop color and brought it through these 2 loops to finish off that treble, and then you would have chained 1 in turn. So you'd have like a strand about that big. So it's your choice. You can do that if you want, or I'll show you the other way. Okay, so now I'm done with my blue here. I'm going to finish the stitch. I'm going to chain 1, pull the back to tighten it. I'm going to cut back here. Okay, then I'm going to go back to the right side. Whenever I can start on the right side, that's where I want to start. Alright, get my white again. Okay, the white row is going to be exactly like row 2 and 3. I'm going to join with a single crochet again in the first treble. So I'm going to have a slip knot on my hook. I'm going to insert my hook into the first treble like that. I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, and I'm holding it down here at the bottom, and I'm going to pull through 2. And then I just I have a treble next, so I single in that, and then I single in the chain 1 space. So basically I'm just going to single in the chain 1 space in the stitch, just like I did in row 2. And then the next row I'm going to single in the single crochet stitches, just like rows 2 and 3. And then I'll come back on camera and I'll show you how to do a row starting with the short part of the wave. I've completed the last 2 rows of single crochets, and now I'm going to show you the row that starts with the short one, with the short stitches. So I'm going to join. I'm on the right side, and the right side is actually the first row. So if you want to mark that when you're working the first row, just mark that as the right side. So I'm going to join with a single crochet with my new color, and to do that you just insert, yarn over, bring that up, and draw through the 2 loops on your hook. And you start out with those 2 stitches at the beginning. You don't have a chain 1 to skip there. So I'm starting out short, so now I'm going to chain 1 and skip 1 and do a half double. So now I'm going to build the stitches up. Chain 1, skip. Now I'm going to do a double. Now I'm going to chain 1 and do a treble. And you'll notice that I've got my tall stitches over my short stitches from the 2 rows previous. So now I'm going to skip and do a treble in there. Chain 1, skip 1, do another treble. So in the valleys and the peaks you're doing 2 of the same stitch. Okay, now I need to go back down, so I'm going to do a double. Chain 1, skip, half double. Chain 1, skip, single, chain 1, skip, single. So I did 2 in the valley, and they're right over the trebles from the 2 rows previous. Now I'm going to build it back up, do a half double crochet, chain 1. Now I'm skipping, do a double, chain 1, skip. Now I'm going to do a treble, chain 1, skip, another treble, skip, do a double, chain 1, skip that one, half double crochet like that, chain 1, and then I've got 3 at the end, which makes me happy. Skip 1 and do single in the last 2. So there you go. That's the opposite wave. Now this repeats one more row where you mimic the stitches. You do a single and a single. So you have 2 singles to start, chain 1, and this was a half double, so you work a half over a half, or into a half. chain 1, double into a double, chain 1, treble into a treble, chain 1, treble into a treble. It's really easy once you get the hang of this. So now I need to go back down and do a double and a double, chain 1, half and a half, chain 1, single and a single, chain 1, single. Now I'm going back up, half, chain 1, double, chain 1, half, this is a treble, chain 1, treble, chain 1. Now I'm going down, then a half over a half, or into a half, like that, chain 1. I land up with 3. The 3 at the end count as a chain 1, and all I got to do is I've got a chain 1 here, and I'm just going to single in each single. So the beginning is the same as the end. Just like that. So that's the wave rows that start with short and then they go up in the middle. And this one was the one that started tall. Alright, so I'm going to finish this off. Let me just show you right now how you would do the border on this. So let's say you ended here. Well, actually they have this ending on one short row. So they have this ending. Okay, I'm going to tear this row out. So when you end, your last row is going to be that row right there. And that'll match what you have down here. Okay, so you'll be ending on this row. You'll most likely be on the wrong side. So you could chain 1 turn, you want to be on the right side, and I would work 3 single crochets in the corner, and then I would work single crochet all the way across this last row that you just worked. Okay, so I would work singles around and then 3 singles in every corner. And then along the sides here, I would work probably about, it doesn't have to be exact, but you would just ease in the single crochets along the side. You just don't want this to be too many because it'll start kind of like buckling up on the sides, and you don't want too few or else it'll start gathering in. So you just work as many single crochets as needed to keep this even along the sides, and then just put 3 singles in every corner and then single crochet along your starting chain. And then when you come back around, you could hide some of your ends in here and single crochet over them. I'm not a big fan of that, but I like taking a needle and actually sewing these in. But when you come back around, you'll be coming along the side here, and you just join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. So that's how you make the Reading Ripple Afghan with Ever Soft yarn. And I want to thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you subscribe to our channel. And all the links to everything that you saw me use in this video are listed below.